Bret Hart Artists. Today we're going to be working on making some retablos. I'm probably pronouncing that terribly. They're also called nichos, and it's just a metal picture frame, usually with a picture of a saint or a relative that has passed away or something like that. These are going to go on our ofrendas for Dia de los Muertos, and so I wanted to show you how to make these and so you understand how to do it. So first you want to start out with your sketch. So this is the sketch that I made. This means always together. And I have a little picture frame area for where I'm going to put my photo. So what I want to do is I want to transfer that to this piece of metal and make it look three-dimensional. So you're probably thinking, how are we supposed to do metal work in art class? Well, it's actually pretty easy. This is soft metal. It's just a little bit heavier than aluminum foil like you have in your kitchen. And it's actually pretty easy to work with. So I'm going to start out by creating a pad so that my metal doesn't get, you can't really do it on a hard surface like this. You want something that has a little bit of squish to it. So I'm going to put this magazine under here first. Then I'm going to put my piece of metal. And then I'm going to put my sketch. So I'll move it here so you can see it pretty well. And what I'm going to do next is I'm going to take a pencil, if I can find a pencil, and I'm going to trace my design. So you want to make sure it doesn't move. A good idea is to use a few pieces of tape. And you don't need to tape it on there crazy. You just want to make it so that it doesn't move around a whole lot. So I'm just going to make a little flange here at the top and a little flange at the bottom. And this is going to keep everything from sliding around too much. You don't have to put too much tape on there. You just want enough to keep it from moving around. Okay, so let's do this. Okay, so now we can take this off of here and see what we got. Awesome. Okay, so this looks kind of 3D. It kind of has some texture, which is good, but it doesn't really have relief. Relief is when you have a sculpture that sticks out and is flat on the back, but this doesn't have, this is very low relief. So we want to create more relief on this piece of metal. So we need to figure out what things are going to stick up and what things are going to go backwards. All right, so we know that we want the part where the photograph is going to go. We want it to go backwards. So I'm using the back of a pencil to kind of press that back a little bit. You don't want to press down very hard. You want to do just a little bit at a time. If you do too much, you can bend the metal to the point that you can't fix it. So you just want to go a little bit at a time. So I'm just pressing down a little bit at a time. All right, I also know that I want the picture frame to stick out. So I'm going to flip this over and I'm going to color in the picture frame. So notice that I'm using a dull color pencil. I think dull color pencils work pretty well. You want something that is kind of dull on the end, but not pointy. If I used a really super pointy pencil like this, then I risk bending the metal too much and even breaking the metal. So a dull color pencil is the way to go. You can use, you know, any kind of pencil. You can use anything that kind of has this kind of shape. If it leaves a little bit of color on the metal, it's okay, because you can wash that off. It's better than breaking your metal and not having much to work with. While you're working with the metal, please be careful, because you can cut yourself. And also because if you break the metal, we don't have enough for everybody to have another piece of metal. So you're just going to have to work with the metal you have. So it's better to not break it to begin with. If you go a little bit over the line, that's fine. You can always correct it, but you want to make your lines really straight so that your piece looks really nice. Remember, this is going to go on display at the Oakland Museum, so you want to do a really good job with this and use your best craftsmanship. Also keep in mind that part of your grade comes from your craftsmanship, so you want to make sure you take every effort to make it look nice. Okay, so I have my picture frame started, and now I'm going to continue fixing up these edges and making the edges look really, really nice. Okay, so now I know that I want my heart to be puffy. So I'm going to start on the other side. Since this is such a big area, I'm going to go very gently at first. If you see any little wrinkle areas, you're pressing too hard. So you want to go just very slow, make little circles. Go easy, because if you press down too much at once, you get these weird, ugly bends in the metal that you can't get out, and you're just stuck with it. You have to work it into your design. You can start kind of making this edge around the frame a little bit more defined. And you know, it's really hard for me to get to go really slow. Like, I have to make sure I'm making myself go light enough, because it does take time. But this project is a kind of time-consuming one. This is one that is going to take a little bit more time. You just kind of have to roll with it. So I'm probably going to work that a little bit more, but I also wanted to make these pearls around the edges round, so I'm going to color inside these pearls. And I'm not really coloring, even though I'm kind of making that motion, but what I'm trying to do is stretch the metal out and make them round. I want to make them stick up. So think about all the things that you want to stick up and try to figure out which things you want to stick back. Since I have two things that are side by side that I want to stick up, then I have to figure out how I'm going to create definition. So I make that definition by making sure that the things around them stick back. So I'm going to go on this side, look at the ones that I've already gone around, and I'm going to trace around them. So basically, you're just kind of flipping the metal back and forth, and you're making some things stick up and some things stick back. And the idea is to make everything defined and to create relief. And that relief is what you call when they stick up and they're flat on the back. All right, so I'm going to kind of keep flipping back and forth, and you can see how I work this metal and make it look 3D. Okay, so I think I've about got this where I want it to be. I might add a little bit more definition around the outside of this frame, because I want to make sure that that shows up as a frame and not just a hole. Also, you probably noticed that I smoothed out the lettering on the ribbon right here. I had some lettering there, and I decided that I wanted to do the lettering differently. I want to put that in the last step. So I went ahead and smoothed that out, and I made it stick out. I also made a lot of balance between things that stick out and things that go back, so I have that nice relief showing up. It looks really good in 3D. I'm going to go back in and add definition to my flames up here. Make sure that those look really sharp. It's the definition that makes all the difference in the world with metal working like this. You don't want anything to not look like what it's supposed to be. You want to make sure that everything's really well defined. Everything has a nice crisp outline. Otherwise, it just looks like a bunch of bumps on metal, and it doesn't really make sense. Okay, so I've got my design. I'm going to define these edges, make them look really good. And I have, make sure that you have lots of balance between the things that stick up and the things that go back in the picture. And make sure it really has good relief. That's what that means. When you have things that are sticking up and you have it's kind of 3D, you can feel things sticking up. It looks puffy, it looks three-dimensional. That's what we're looking for. All right, so once you have all of these things done, then you can go ahead and color your design with colored Sharpies. Here are some examples of traditional retablos. When you're finished coloring these, you're going to cut those out, but wait to see me so that you can cut them out safely. They're a little bit tricky since this is metal, but these should give you some ideas of designs that you can do for your own retablo. Have fun!